All right, Shalom. This is Power Thumb on the Great Millstone Houston Camp, back with another lesson to edify the elect of the nation of Israel. So before I begin, as always, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Rachak, Wadash, the one the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutation to the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and all Israelites scattered abroad, whoever see this truth and who will continue to endure the truth unto the end. Saints shall be saved by Allah, Yahweh Shah, Mashiach, on the word in the call Jesus Christ, during World War III. Alright, so I want to start here in chapter 3 of Micah, in verse 6, and it reads, let me start at 5. Thus said Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, concerning the prophets. This lesson is over the prophets and the prophecies that make my people err. So you have false prophets, all right, that lead our people into the wrong direction. So let's get a precept on that. All right, and it's no difference today. This is 1 John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirit whether they be of the Most High. Because many false prophets are going out into the world. So don't be gullible and just follow these false prophets of the nation of Israel, or any man in general, okay? Any teacher of the Hebrew Israelites, but you got to try the spirit, all right? Because there are false prophets out there. And how do you try the spirit? Through putting your scholar cap on, all right? Being like the Church of Berea, all right? Which heard the words of the prophet Paul, all right, which also was an apostle, and went to go search the things that he said were true. All right, let's see. This is Acts chapter. Let's see. Acts chapter 17 and verse 10. And the brethren immediately sent away Paul and Silas by night into Berea, who coming thither went into the synagogue of the Jews, which are Israelites, mainly of the southern kingdom. Jews is short for the tribe of Judah. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. All right. So this truth is not anything to be taken lightly. You got to really have the spirit of researching the word of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, really getting into it as if your life depends on it. All right, readiness of mind, and search the scriptures daily. All right, so being diligent in your studies, as the scripture says, study to show thyself approved, and also, all right, show diligence to make your calling and election sure. This is the requirements of getting into the kingdom. All right, making sure that we have the 100% truth and not being led by false prophets. All right, we know we have the truth. We say that with all humility, even with knowing we have the truth and studying. We got to make sure that we on point, all right, with what we teaching, okay, and also what the brother beside us is teaching. You know, make sure that we sharp so we can reprove and correct, all right, and rebuke if need be the brother beside us, whether it be in the same camp, all right, different camps, different groups, whatever it may be. All right. So going back, 1 John 4:2, and hereby we know the spirit of the Most High Yahweh, and the Son Yahweh Shah, every spirit that confesses Yahweh Shah is come, and the flesh is of the Most High. All right. So the different doctrines that we can identify. That if a man teach, he's a man of the Lord. And the main doctrine is that MOTB, it being the RFID chip. You got many Israelites that teach, but teach against the mark of the beast being the RFID chip. And they're going to be destroyed because of it. Now, let's go back to, what was we in? Malachi 3 and 5. Thus said Yahweh concerning the prophets that make my people err. All right, the scriptures also speak about that in Isaiah chapter 9. What is it? Isaiah 9. And was it? There you go. 9 and 16. All right. Well, let's start at 15. The ancient and the honorable, he is the head, and the prophet that teaches lies. He is the tail, saying Yahweh said in Matthew the 5th chapter. He did teach it to break the law. All right, let's get that real quick. See, there's a future kingdom to come, and there's going to be rank in the kingdom of heaven. There's the kingdom of the Israelites. This is Matthew chapter 5 in verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so. So you got false prophets. They are also teachers. You got the prophets in general. All right, they teachers. The true prophets and the false prophets. And what we're teaching, the word of the Lord. Some have the true breakdown and some have the false breakdown. All right, and whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments. So we do have to keep the law. All right, but we're not saved through the law. We have to rehearse the righteous acts. And shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. That's the elect. All right, in the same verse, you have the 2/3 and the elect. You have the Israelites that are going to be destroyed, and the Israelite teachers that's going to be saved by Yahweh Shah when he return. All right, so you're going to have the least and the great as far as rank. Also, in the kingdom, every Israelite ain't going to be on the same level. It's a thing called a governing body, all right, of the nation, which is the 144,000. And they will practice what they preach. Practice, right, what they preaching. Do what they say, the same as they teach. Okay? As the scripture says, don't be a hearer only, but a doer. Okay? So, going back, Malachi 3 and 5, that said Yahweh concerning the prophet that make my people err. All right, like IUIC, ISUPK, Pre-Sabak, HOI, Wi-Fi, WFI, Israelites, One Body Israelites, right, different Israelites. Okay, and if you come across an Israelite, he ain't teaching the chip. He's making the Most High people, the Israelites, to live in error. Okay, because if you're not teaching against it, then I mean you for it. There's no gray areas with the Lord. That bite with their teeth and cry. Let's do this real quick, because I don't. And cry peace. And he that put it not into their mouths, they even prepare war against him. Therefore night shall be unto you, that ye shall not have a vision. And it shall be dark unto you, that ye shall not divine. And the sun shall go down over the prophet, and the day shall be dark over them. So the Lord had covered, all right, and blinded the false prophets from receiving the truth. This is Ezekiel 14, and let's see real quick. Let's see. Ezekiel. Yeah, 14 and 9. And if the prophet be deceived, when he had spoken a thing, right, teaching lies, like the MOTB, okay, and the many other different IUIC teach, of course, the names. They teach lies according to, concerning the names, how the name, we don't have the name of Yahweh, all right? But every once in a while, they'll call on Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, all right? But say at the same breath, we don't have the names, okay? The apostle Tahar, went into the chat GPT and typed it in. What is the difference between the different doctrines and conflicts in doctrine with the Hebrew Israelite groups? All right, and you got names, and one of the main ones is the mark of the beast, one of the biggest controversies. IUIC teaches hell, all right, ISUPK teaches Jacob's trouble is gay, that there will be no Jacob's trouble. All right, they also teach against the mark of the beast not being the RFID chip. Okay, so on and so forth. And if the prophet be deceived when he has spoken a thing, I Yahweh have deceived that prophet. And I would stretch out my hand upon him and would destroy him from the midst of my people. So the false prophets will be destroyed. Same thing said in 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. All right, Yahweh Shah said it as well. If the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. So if you got these blind leaders leading these other blind Israelite followers, the Lord going to destroy them. All right, and only keep a remnant, which is the elect of the nation of Israel. All right, so boom. And truth be told, the Lord set this whole thing up. All right, real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 29 and 10. For Yahweh poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and had closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, have he covered. Now the seers are the prophets. All right. 1 Peter 9 and 9. 1 Samuel 9 and 9. Before a time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer, for he that is now called a prophet was before a time called a seer. All right. So the seers are the prophets. So this is Isaiah chapter 29 in verse 10. For Yahweh poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep and closed your eyes, the prophets and your rulers, the seers had he covered. The vision of all is become unto you as the word of a book that is sealed, which being delivered to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray thee. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. So a learned man is an Israelite that went to school to learn about the Bible. You have these different seminary schools, what they call it, theological seminary schools, all right, where it's, higher and learning universities, schools, community colleges, where they study the scriptures, all right, and they're not teaching the truth in these scriptures. Only the prophets have the truth, which is in Amos 3 and 7. I have revealed my secrets unto my servants, the prophets. And the prophets are not coming out of these schools that are established by Esau, the so-called white man. Hell no. All right. It says, verse 12, the book is delivered to him that is not learned, right? Didn't go to school to learn the scriptures. All right, don't have no type of letters and things like that. Saying, read this, I pray thee. He said, I'm not learned. So you're holding the wall, pastor. All right, he don't have the truth either. All right, so you're pastor or prophet that was raised up, or bishop or deacon that was raised up by his grandma, which is one that is not learned. He don't have the truth. And an Israelite that went to school and is an apologist or whatever, they don't have the truth either. All right. So just think about a precept. Okay. I already quoted Amos 3 and 7. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So the book had been sealed. Right. This is Daniel. Let's see. Daniel 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the word and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So the time of the end is the time we living in now. All right, but really started during the time of Yahweh Shah. All right, the time of Yahweh Shah was the beginning of the end. Okay, but more things, Yahweh Shah revealed certain things to the prophets. All right, through the Spirit to the apostles. All right, but more things, were still sealed in the scriptures. All right, so the time of the end, really going into the time that we're living in now, that the breakdowns of the scriptures, the prophetic breakdowns of the scriptures have been closed. All right, they have been sealed off. All right, they've been kept, the understanding have been kept back. All right, until the time of the end. All right, in Yahweh Revelation, the 5th chapter, he loosed those seals. This is Revelation, the 5th chapter, verse 5. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And the 7 is completion. So the prophetic visions of the scriptures and what the Bible is really talking about have been completely sealed off and shut up until the time of the end. All right, until the time that, the prophets will come in this time. All right. But now that the secrets are being revealed to his servants, the prophets, all right, our people, they don't want to, they rather be blind, which is crazy. Right? They rather have no truth, no direction. This is Isaiah chapter 30 and 10. I started at 9. This is a rebellious people, lying children. Children will not hear the law of Yahweh, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto his right things. Speak unto his smooth things, prophesy deceit. So you Israelites, you don't want the prophets to prophesy. All right, you don't want the prophets to bring out what the problem is and what the solution is. All right, you just want to live in America, all right, and under Esau's thumb and try to make something out of nothing. It ain't never gonna be nothing, all right, but wickedness. Go you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease before us. All right, so our people don't want the prophets to even follow the Lord and speak the righteousness. All right. Verse 12. Wherefore, but our people always got these complaints, and but they don't want the solution of the scriptures. They want Esau to give them reparations, all right, and give them good jobs. Verse 12. Wherefore thus said the Lord, and bring down inflation. Because they want to be free from the law of the scriptures. They don't want any order, no righteousness. They want to be wicked. Verse 12. Wherefore, thus said the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be unto you as a breach ready to fall. You see, our people despise the word, but they trust in the oppression of Esau and the wickedness of the so-called white man. Right? They might have some gripes here and there, but overall, right, they take the parts that please them and they go with it. And they stay on it. Their minds are stayed on the way of the so-called white man. It makes us, all right, the prophets sick, all right, because there's a wickedness needs to come to an end. That's the freaking problem. Verse 13. Therefore, this iniquity should be to you as a breach ready to fall. So it's wickedness not to take heed to the prophets, all right, and to follow in the steps of righteousness. Therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, right? Like Katrina, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking coming suddenly at an instant. He's going to catch our people off guard. And he shall break it as the breaking of a potter's vessel that's broken in pieces. He shall not spare. So a lot of our people are going to be destroyed because they don't want to take heed to the prophets, all right, in the prophecies. So that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a shred to take fire from the hearth or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus said the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall you be saved. You see, in returning to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, to your nationality and these scriptures shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. And ye would not. And our people are dumb as fuck. All right? They don't want it. They're stupid. They're sottish. All right? This is Proverbs 29 and 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. All right, another verse going to the elect and the non-elect of the Israelites. You Israelites that don't want to take heed to the vision, all right, which is your guidance through this dark place, all right, is your light in this dark tunnel of Esau's kingdom, where there is no vision of people perish. So since you don't want to take heed to the vision, you're going to die. And he that keepeth the law, happy is he, which is the elect. Keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability. We're going to be happy at the end because Yahweh Shai is coming to save. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, Shem Shalom.